Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé. Let's watch.
He hasn't had time to come out of cop mode. Why are you shaking your head?
She's wrong, man. She's wrong.
Listen,
She is wrong.
Listen, brother, it's gonna
She
be okay. Listen,
oh,
listen.
man, I don't need this. Oh.
Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on in this relationship, but it seems like Molly is being unfair to him. But I didn't watch anything of this couple beforehand, so maybe he is a jerk face. I don't know, but he doesn't look like it. What we're hearing in the edit is that Molly is upset at him because when he moved from New York to be with her somewhere else, she thought maybe he promised that he would have this really great career and job, and now she wakes up in the morning, she's going to work, and she says, "What are you going to do today?" And he says, "Absolutely nothing." I get the impression from him, though, that that's not the full story. We haven't heard his circumstances. Maybe something else is going on. I mean, who knows? I mean, he could be depressed, he could be anxious, his health could be going down the tubes. I don't know. Usually there are reasons why people don't work. So maybe it just takes a while to get back into the swing of things. I don't know. But okay, she has that complaint, and that's understandable, I guess. Not everyone's like that, but some people are, and I don't think that's a huge problem, particularly if she's like, "I'm paying all the bills and you're just sitting around." Okay. This show tends to really focus on stuff like that, like the whole get a job thing. It's such a cliche on this show. It seems to be kind of manufactured by the show to some extent. Of course it's an issue, but at the very least, to me, I feel like it's often way over-focused on or talked about in a way that implies that these people that aren't working are scammers. That's, because that's the whole 90 Day Fiancé thing. And certainly that can happen, but that doesn't usually happen. People want to be productive. They want their own money. They want to feel like they're contributing. They want to be competent. There's usually some reason as to why people aren't working. So I'm just going to assume something's there. And he doesn't seem like the type of guy that just wakes up in the morning like, he, I'm going to scam off of Molly. So, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's her complaint in the edit. I'm guessing there's more to that. I don't know, but that's what in the edit. And for him, he presented in a way that provoked the therapist, which was a great question. The therapist, or the great intervention that the therapist did, was the therapist said, "Oh, Kelly, it sounds like what you're looking for is some indication that Molly loves you." And then the therapist goes to Molly and says, "Molly, can you give him something to work with?" This is a good technique. It didn't work, or it illuminated something in the relationship, but I'm guessing the therapist thought that Molly would give something so that they could start building from there. Maybe just some sort of goodwill, and the therapist intuited, and I would have as well, of like, well, wait, so this couple before me, at least one member doesn't know if his partner even loves him. So yeah, let's start from that foundation, because until we establish that is at least being worked on, you can't work on these other things like getting a job. I mean, you want to be loved before anything else. Anyway, so the therapist turns to Molly, and Molly hemmed and hawed and didn't have anything to give. Basically was saying through her actions that she didn't love Kelly. And she's been operating that way this whole time too, so it's not inconsistent. I wonder though if for Kelly he is because he seems really surprised at Molly's behavior. So either Molly has been suppressing and is just revealing in this therapy-ish context her true feelings, or something happened recently that it caused Molly to become more negative about Kelly, or Molly is engaged in some sort of shenanigans for the camera. Either she's being told, or she thinks, hey, we can eke out more seasons if we have more drama, and normally we wouldn't. So I have to do something about this, you know, because you would just think, I don't know Molly, but I would assume that in her heart she wants attachment and love more than she wants him to get a job. So I'm guessing that she wouldn't sacrifice the first for the second, but I don't know. Anyway, and now he's really hurt, and Kelly is crying and exhibiting even more positive masculinity, strong masculinity, and health, and good humanity to be able to cry and to be vulnerable and to just be there. You know, so many other reactions that we see on the show. He could have gotten angry. He could have splashed her in the face with a glass of water. He could have been like, this is bullshit. You know, there's a lot of things that he could have done, but he just stuck with that primary emotion of pain and you feel it. And it wasn't even just pain. It's some sort of severe pain, and also I think some anxiety, some panic, and that he's just like, what am I doing here? And yeah, it's pretty rough. And then you would think that Molly would go, oh crap. So either she is being unfair, or she is very resentful, or she's very shut down, or something. There's some block there, because even if you wanted to divorce someone, if you saw a human being going through like something, especially because there's really no it's not like he's been this complete asshole during this therapy retreat, and she's just like, well, but you were a total dick to me yesterday, so that's why I'm, being cold. There's really nothing there other than her complaint that he doesn't have the career that he promised or she thought he would have. So you see another human being having a reaction like that, you just think there would be something, some kind, even if you're like, yeah, I'm sorry, I still care about you, but I just don't want to be with you or something. But she just shuts off.
Wrong.
Listen, brother, it's going to be okay. Listen,
Oh,
listen.
man, I don't need this.
And just a little tip to you therapists out there, when this happens, this is something that you want to create a lot of sacred space around, and a lot of care and a lot of room for him to be this way. There's a compulsion to try to fix it, or to try to reassure him, or say don't cry. Of course, a therapist would never say that, but there's this compulsion, but there's nothing to be afraid of. I hope if it's one thing that you've learned from me, is that there is nothing to be afraid of when it comes to crying. However, everyone seems to think there's a threat there. It's some kind of scary thing that needs to be shut down. It is one of the most, you could say it is the most human thing that we do. It's the first thing we do when we emerge into the world, typically. It is in our bones to cry like this, to just be like defeated and sad and helpless and hurting and hoping someone will take care of you. You're also taking care of yourself as an adult. When you're crying, you feel the pain, but you're also hopefully saying it's okay to cry, let it out. You're all inside. So as a therapist, when this happens, I have the societal impulse to, but 99% of me is just like, yeah, I'm with you. And I don't typically say things like, let it out. Typically clients will say, I'm sorry, I told myself I wouldn't cry. Then I will say, no. If you can't cry in therapy, where can you cry? Also, or I might say something like, no, it's healthy to cry, or something like that. Just a little, because I don't want to get in the way. I don't want to start lecturing them as they're having an emotional experience. The key is that they're able to let it out, that I'm with them, that I'm not trying to fix it. I'm not trying to reassure them that everything's going to be fine. I see them. I'm with them. I'm not threatened by the emotion. I value it. I value it so much. I'm not going to change the subject. I'm with, and so let's see what the therapist did, because I think they turned the microphone down for the therapist in this moment, but I think I heard maybe what the therapist was saying.
She's wrong, man. She's wrong. She is wrong.
Listen, brother, it's gonna
She
be
is
okay. Listen,
wrong,
listen.
man. I don't need this.
Well, the therapist was, it's okay, brother. It's going to be okay. Listen. Yeah. Not what I would recommend. I mean, maybe there's some clinical justification for that. But I think the therapist eventually is, I should just let this be.
Lord. I went against all my beliefs for her. I changed everything for her. I don't want to be with a person like that. I'm not safe. I'm not secure. I don't.
Yeah, and he keeps saying that phrase that, I changed everything for you. And we've heard that phrase before. And yeah, I'm just wondering what their day-to-day is like. Maybe they're both avoiding that, or she is, and she's just using this job thing as a proxy for all the other complaints she might have. Because, but I also get the impression from him that he was under the impression that their relationship was pretty good until they got here. So either she was suppressing, or this is shenanigans, or she's just seeing the problems, or I don't know. I'm a little confused as to what the problem is in the relationship. It's the way it looks, I guess, if I just were to look at the behaviors, it looks like she is done and is no longer in love and doesn't want to be with him and wants to break up. And he is feeling that energy and is hurt by that. That's the way it looks to me.
I want to be with a person like that. No, she did me wrong, man.
And I have to say, Kelly is exhibiting one of the top 3 emotional, healthy expressions we've ever seen on 90 Day Fiancé. There's just a lot of health there. Like I said, that he's having an emotion. There's so many other options that he could be resorting to as a way of trying to cover it up or deny or attack or walk away or become indifferent or intellectualize. And it's just pure emotion. And he's not even really attacking her or even criticizing her. He's just like, what am I doing here? Like, I can't, this is wrong. He's saying you're wrong. She's wrong. But the vibe isn't one of hostility. It's one of desperation and pain. At least that's the way I'm receiving it. So yeah, I just want to commit. A lot of what I've seen I don't know these two, but everything I've seen in this season with Kelly, or a number of moments with Kelly, has indicated that he has a lot of differentiation and a lot of emotional health. I don't know about the rest of his life, but we don't usually see that on this show.
Molly, his love for you is making him cry right now. Is there any feelings about that?
Great, yeah. That's exactly along the lines of what I would do, not every time, but, when the Kellys of the world stop crying, because, you create space and let them go, depending, then usually when the Kellys stop talking, stop expressing, there's a bid of just like, so what do you think? But they're too vulnerable to say that, so then I will say that for them to get the ball rolling. And so I'll throw to the Mollies and say, throw to the Mollies. It's got to be some sort of rave song, right? Like, throw to the Molly. Anyway, that's my version of a rave song. There was a time when I actually wrote and recorded and performed music at dance venues. I didn't really write rave music, but I did write dance. You can actually listen to a couple of the tracks along these lines on Spotify. You can go to my band, Bread Knife Incident. The third album, Cozy, is all me. The first 2 albums are me and Carlos and Brant playing music together and recording, but the third album, called Cozy, it's all me performing it. Some of it is drum programming and keyboards and production and stuff, and there's a couple songs that they're not rave songs by any means, but I did play them in dance clubs and perform them in dance clubs and wrote them for dance clubs. So what I'm trying to say is my terrible attempt to mimic a rave song a minute ago is countered by my actual talent and accomplishments. I'm joking, of course. point is that he's so I would throw the Mollies, and I would ask them, okay, you're seeing this, because there'd be a temptation to ask Molly, well, can you reassure him? Or do you feel bad about what's happening? Or do you feel sad too? A closed question instead of just being observational, just being a catalyst. Okay, you're seeing him. And it's also good that he kind of frames it, right? Because the therapist might be concerned that Molly might misinterpret it based on her filter or something. Or he just wants to highlight, the therapist just wants to highlight one part of it, which is a good move to say he's hurting because of the relationship. He's hurting because he wants love or something like that. So you're seeing the emotional expression. I'm telling you what I'm seeing in terms of why he's crying. When you see that, how do you feel about it? It's just open-ended, like whatever you feel. I'm going to take I don't know what Molly's going to say. This is some of the first actual therapy we've seen on this therapy retreat, on this TV series about therapy. This is some of the very first therapy that we've seen, honestly.
I get it, but I just don't think that I don't know. He never even tried to understand what happened, and he's not taking the adult responsible role in how he played.
So it's right back there. I just don't. Each to their own, but I don't understand okay, you can have that complaint for sure. You can be critical about that. You could be upset about that, but so if I were the therapist, I would think either, okay, I guess this is giving me a chance to build some hypotheses that for Molly, she might have some kind of trauma regarding financial stability maybe, or even a partner or a parent who is quote unquote lazy. And in order for her to feel safe and relaxed and okay, she really has to have him not only doing a career, but doing well. And she uses those phrases like, sexual attraction, everything comes about, they did the sex class, and she even routed that to the fact that she is dissatisfied with his career. And she's saying, I was sexually attracted to him when he had a career in New York. And then he always says, but I've given up so much. What's behind that, right? I just want to know, because that's usually what the depth that they get to in these conversations on the show. It's like, we've heard that from other couples, that exact phraseology. Is he depressed? Like I said, what's the issue to her? Are they on really hard financial times? Does she think he's never going to get a job? What's the deal? Because there's a chance it just takes a little bit of time. Anyway, so everything gets routed back there. So is there some sort of trauma regarding finances or laziness, perceived laziness, or that's probably a pretty good hypothesis to pursue. The other is that she is really uncomfortable talking about the real issue, whatever it is, whether it's loss of love or disillusionment. That's another possibility. I'm just trying to find something to grab onto. Another possibility is that she was in love with Kelly when they were long distance, and then once they were not long distance and literally living together, which, it's one thing to move to the town and start dating across town. It's another thing to be like, I barely know you, to you're sleeping in my bed and in my bathroom and you're at home. It can be a pretty big shock. And so there's a possibility that she's disillusioned and was never really in love with him to begin with or something. And she doesn't know it, or she can't say that. So she's focusing on the job thing as a way to understand what's going on, because it's something to grab onto. I don't know. But she was a little surprising to me at the beginning of that little segment, because she's like, I understand it, but and then she quickly, does she understand it? Because I don't know. I don't think I understand it.
The adult responsible role in how he played into this scenario.
They have a lot of communication issues from past experiences. And not talking about the problems, to me, sounds like avoidance. I think Kelly and Molly both are holding on to things that they need to release individually before they can really be a...
Yeah, and of course, he was with them for a lot longer than the edit that we saw. But I think what I'm hearing is more of... I wouldn't be surprised if what he observed was what I'm observing, but times 100, which is that I don't really understand what the problem is exactly. We typically hear other kinds of things, like if Molly had said something like what I was saying earlier, of just like, when he moved in, everything changed because he's in town. And now I wonder, am I a horrible person for seducing him to give up his career and move down here? What's wrong with me? Did I make a terrible mistake? That's one possibility. Or some kind of depression or addiction that's getting in the way for Kelly, or a medical problem that he doesn't want to talk about. So I think he might be, I'm just hypothesizing that he was detecting that blank spot, so he's using the word avoidance, and they're holding back something. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.